And we're live. Roll up, ladies and gentlemen. One man went to mill. You've seen the topic. Where are you? Come join me. One man went to mill. It's your man, not your boy. I actually heard that line from an American YouTuber, Black American. They call themselves African Americans these days. But I actually heard that line from a Black American YouTuber who goes, it's your man, not your boy. So that suitably applies. So I've adopted it. So it's your man, not your boy. One man went to mill. You've seen the topic. Why are the Igbos light-skinned? It's the simple question. So waiting for the room to populate. Come join. You saw the advert and you know it's going on. Come join. One man went to mow. I'll just send the link just so for anyone that wants to come and join me live on the program. Say hello as you're coming in. I don't bite. So say hello, interact with the session. A simple enough question. Why are the Igbos lighter skinned than most within the Nigerian space? That's the simple question. But what is your simple or complex answer? Roll up, gather. So yes, simple enough question. Say hello, interact with the session. Click on the hyperlink to come join me. I enjoy that more than anything else, just to have I enjoy that more than anything else, just to have somebody else to bounce ideas off. So if you click on the hyperlink, then you can come join in the session. It's a simple enough question. Why are the Igbos lighter skinned than everyone else within the Nigerian space? That's not to say that the Igbos are the only light-skinned Nigerians. No, every single ethnic configuration within the Nigerian space have different shades of skin tone, but in generality, the Igbos are lighter skinned than most within the Nigerian space. But why is this? That's the question. What is your answer? I'll wait for the room to populate a bit more before we get into the throes of it. There are a few hypotheses out there which I shall share with you and then invite you to come and tell me how that resonates with you. So simple question, why are the Igbos lighter skinned than most within the Nigerian space? A more light-hearted session this time around, not any heavy-duty political stuff, but a simple enough question, why are Igbo people lighter skinned than anyone else within the Nigerian space? So gather, come join, interact. There are a few people in here, so just say hello or just do something just to acknowledge your presence so I can acknowledge you. Simple enough question, why are the Igbos lighter skinned than most people within the Nigerian space? So I'll wait for the first hello actually before I get into the session. At least a hello from somebody. Okay. Hello. Gather, one man went to mow. A pertinent question, a question that has agitated the mind of Nigerians for a good while now. So we gather now to tackle it. Simple enough, the Igbos are... Okay, so let's just get into it. Of course, we have different shades within the Nigerian space. With every ethnicity within the Nigerian space. Of course, we have different shades. We have different sizes. We have different shades. You have lighter-skinned Yoruba people. You have lighter-skinned Northerners. And of course, you have lighter-skinned Igbo people as well. But in generality, the Igbos are really a lot more lighter-skinned within the Nigerian space than anyone else. Just as a broad statement, I think we can all accept that the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most within the Nigerian space. And when I'm saying lighter shade, I don't mean lighter shade from the bottle or also for some funny cream from India or whatever. I'm talking about genetically lighter skinned. I'm talking about people that are born with a lighter shade of skin. So you've seen the the thumbnail. So that is the sort of a skin texture that I am looking to address. So this is something that we've noticed with the Igbo people, and as I said, there are quite a few hypotheses as to why the Igbos are indeed of a lighter shade than most people in Nigeria. So here is one of the theories that's been proposed. So I'm going to, this is fairly, the font is fairly small, so let's just go through it. So this is one hypothesis as to why the Igbos are lighter skinned than most within the Nigerian space. Long before the British came to Nigeria, the Portuguese had been there. The Portuguese freely interacted with Igbos, Benins, Yorubas, etc. for about 300 years. Pardon me, the Portuguese freely interacted with Igbos, Benins, Yorubas, etc. for about 300 years before the British came. It was from them that the Edos learned bronze sculpting, for example. So already I'm almost willing to disregard that, because the bronze sculpting as it is in Edo and some parts of Ife, it predates the European excursion into the African space, because it was one of the things that they first looted when they came into that space. So I'm not quite sure where this person is coming from, but let's see where they land. So let's take it from the top of that paragraph again. The Portuguese freely interacted with Igbos, Benins, and Yorubas, etc. for about 300 years before the British came. It was from them that the Edos learned bronze sculpting. For example, cloth weaving and coloring was learned from them as well. Those were the days of free trade and free love, so there was a lot of sexual interaction. In those days, a man could say, I am pleased with you, you can have my daughter or my maid, or to his visitor for, excuse me, as I said, the font is fairly small, or for his visitors from a faraway land, I want you to be comfortable, I will send my maids to keep you company. Kings were very guilty of this. Well, the Portuguese benefited from this sexual freedom of those days, and they had sexual relationships with a lot of people from Southeast and South-South. Modupe Ozolua of body enhancement fame always said she was purely Nigerian. So, what's that name again? Let's take it from the top of that paragraph again. Modupe Ozolua of body enhancement fame always said that she was purely Nigerian and that her foreign looks is a mere coincidence. I laughed within myself. A few years ago, she said she had just found out that there was a Portuguese woman in her ancestry. It is not coincidence that some Igbos have brown hair, brown eyes, and light skin. That is their foreign genes speaking. Even the British, who came long after the Portuguese, were also having mixed race babies. Think about it. Did they stay for decades without having sex here? Who did they have sex with? Natives? Of course. Bottom line, many Igbos do not know that they have Portuguese blood in them. So that is the first hypothesis as to the reason why the Igbos are lighter skinned than most within the Nigerian space. But then, of course, that hypothesis might not necessarily hold water. Please interact with the session if you're here. We're discussing why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people within the Nigerian space. So the first hypothesis that we're considering is to say that the Igbos are through mixing during colonial times, mixed genes with the colonialists to the point that they had inter-race children, and it is that genetics that has just pervaded all the way through for us to now have this now lighter skinned Igbo people. So that does not necessarily hold water, because of course when the Europeans came to Nigeria, now we're not even talking of Africa but Nigeria, when the Europeans came to Nigeria, they did not solely mix with the Igbo people. So that hypothesis does not necessarily hold water, but of course it is widely held as a reason for why the Igbos are lighter skinned. So the mixing of the Portuguese with the Igbos is what that hypothesis is suggesting. But then, of course, we're not entirely strong as to the veracity of it. So let's explore other hypotheses. We're talking about why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most other Nigerians. So somebody has actually written a piece on this, why most Igbos are light-skinned unlike other Nigerians. So this is how this is titled. So we're hoping it's a bit more in-depth than the first one. Let's just see how many people we have in the session. Interact with the session, click on the link and come join me. Let's really see how we can tackle this together, because I'm just reading research to you at the moment, but I'd like to hear direct experiences as well, or what your theory is as to why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most other Nigerians. So we're going to this piece. Let me just have a... So we're going to this piece, why most Igbos are light-skinned unlike other Nigerians. Have you ever wondered why our Igbo brothers are more light-skinned than other tribes in West Africa? People from Yoruba tribe are black, the Hausas are black. Those from Cameroon are even darker. So the tribe... Sorry. Right, let me take that from the top again. Have you ever wondered why our Igbo brothers are more light-skinned than other tribes in West Africa? People from the Yoruba tribe are black, the Hausas are black, those from Cameroon are even darker. So the tribe from southeast Nigeria is surrounded by black people. However, the larger percentage of them are light-skinned. So I wanted to rest on that point first, because that is the point really that has triggered this interaction. So in just broad strokes, we're not saying all Igbos are light-skinned, but in the round, just as a loose pronouncement, as a loose understanding, the Igbos in generality are a lot lighter skinned than the average Nigerian person, to the point that you even have Igbo people that are so light-skinned that you wonder if they are mixed race, but alas, they are not mixed race, they are just light-skinned. But why is this? So several hypotheses, and we're going through them one by one. So we're getting the interactions now, and we have Elo Iro. What is he or she saying? So this is Elo Iro, but what of them claiming that the Igbos are from Israel? Maybe their light skin tone is from Israel, so that's just a nonsense, so let's just disregard that. William Peters, your next interactive session will be, why are Igbos more business inclined than all Africans? So, well, I'm not sure if they are more business inclined than all Africans, but they are certainly business inclined. There's absolutely no refuting that. So we carry on. Whilst no research has proven this to be the fact, the skin tone of the Igbo tribe is most likely due to a gene that they carried down from centuries in the past. This gene is assumed to be the Portuguese gene. So we're landing on that Portuguese insistence again, because we saw that in the first in this first piece that we looked at. So it looks as though now the Igbos are whoever, I'm not sure if this piece is written by an Igbo person or not. Let me see, it doesn't actually give a name, but it looks as though the popular consensus is that the Igbos actually got their lighter skin tone from Portuguese invaders, or however you choose to term them. The first Europeans that they came into contact with were, of course, the Portuguese. Foreigners from Portugal were the first to enter the area we called Nigeria in the 17th and 18th century. Many decades before the British came to Nigeria, the Portuguese had already been here to trade. They were not hostile or self-imposing on the native, but instead related with them like equals. The Portuguese learnt the African culture from the Benin and Edo tribes, whilst teaching them some of their own craft. Bronze sculpture making, which is one of the major heritage of Benin, was originally learned from the Portuguese. They also learned cloth weaving and coloring and dyeing and tie and dye. So we're landing on that point again for the second piece that we're looking at, that the Igbos actually got their lighter skin tone from interactions with the Portuguese, and they're also suggesting that Benin bronze, that is world famous, was actually something that was learned from the Portuguese. But then, of course, the science will have it be to the contrary, because science will have us have it that Benin bronze had been in existence centuries before the Igbos or anybody else ever had any interactions with the Europeans. In fact, there's a theory that says that the Benin bronze casting actually came out of the Middle East, because of course nobody is willing to concede the fact that this is something that is organic and original to that geographical space. So we carry on. Let's see. It looks as though this piece actually mirrors the first one that we looked at. I am inviting comments though, so if you have any thoughts on this, then share them in the comment section or click on the hyperlink. Let me just post the hyperlink again. So if you have any comments as to, or any thoughts as to why the Igbos are lighter skinned than most people within the Nigerian space, then feel free to come share them with me either in the comment section, or better still, click on that hyperlink and come on live online and have that interaction. You don't even have to show your face. If you're in bed or something, we can just hear your voice and hear your thoughts. But the thoughts that we're hearing at the moment, the opinion that is coming through, is that the light skin tone that the Igbos have is from Portuguese genes that they got from their interaction with the Portuguese. But then, of course, it was not just the Igbos that interacted with the Portuguese when the Portuguese first landed on the shores of Africa. The Yorubas equally interacted, as did a lot of people, especially in the southern coast. I'm not so sure about the northerners, but certainly in the southern coast, a lot of people interacted with the Portuguese. But then, of course, we don't see this light skin tone gene replicated amongst other tribes, especially the southern ones, as much as it does amongst the Igbos. So I'm not entirely sure how that theory holds water. What is Elo saying? Elo, what are you saying? Are you disputing that the Igbos are not from Israel? They said so. Well, I'm not sure that the Igbos are from Israel. They don't look Arabic to me, the Igbos. And of course, Israel is in Arabia. Let's have a look. Let's go back to the piece. Okay, where were we? Let's just pick it up from where we left it. Okay, so it was being suggested that the Benins learned sculpturing, weaving, and coloring and tie and dye also from the Portuguese. Whilst this was going on, the tribes in Nigeria were still in an era where women were seen as property and could be given to visitors in hospitality or as a show of acceptance. Many Igbos and Benin fathers gave their daughters and maids to the white men for sexual pleasure. This was when many ladies got pregnant with half Portuguese children and had children who have a light skin tone. So this is something that repeats. We've come across this. I'm not quite sure if this person actually adds anything extra to what we got from the first piece, which is, of course, to suggest that this is a Portuguese gene that has made the Igbos lighter skin toned than most other Nigerians. But I'm not sure if I do buy that, for reasons that I've already explained. The interaction with the Portuguese was not exclusively with the Igbos, and we don't see this lighter skin tone shade that the Igbos have. We don't see it repeated amongst other tribes as much as it is pronounced amongst the Igbos, because it is so pronounced that the first association that you make with an Igbo person is that lighter skin tone. So I don't accept that it is just Portuguese people who came to Africa and had sex with some Igbo girls that are left light skin tone shades with the Igbos. So we'll carry on, see if this piece actually adds anything better or anything more to our understanding. Where did we leave it off? Okay. To Benin men and Igbo men, they were only entertaining their foreign visitors. So this is speaking to what this person said, that when the Portuguese came, the Igbo people and the people of Benin were gifting them their daughters for sexual pleasure. So this is what's been suggested as to how that lighter skin tone came into the Igbo genes. So to Benin men and Igbo men, they were only entertaining their visitors. They had no idea that they were altering the course of history forever. The Portuguese enjoyed free sex with almost any woman they wanted and impregnated as many Nigerian ladies as possible. While the children were born, they came out light-skinned, and that marked the start of the lighter Igbo men and women. The light-skin gene has been passed from generation to generation, and most Igbos have forgotten about these stories. Many Igbo men and women have colored hair, colored eyes, light skin, and look more foreign than African. However, they do not know that they are partly Portuguese. So there's actually this trend that is going on online at the moment, Ancestry, DNA.com or whatever, where people are doing this saliva test to check their origins. So I'm actually going to check online to see if an Igbo person has done that, and if this what's it called? This Portuguese gene that a lot of people are insisting it was introduced to the Igbo race via the colonialists at that time, but they were not colonialists at the 17th century. They were traders then, that the Igbos and the Benins were gifting their daughters to these Europeans, and of course the daughters were being seeded by these Europeans, which then of course introduced that mixed race thing to the Igbo race, and it is that has cascaded now to that plethora of lighter-skinned Igbo people that we have. So this is the thing that is coming through. So this is the second piece that we're reading on this particular topic, and that same theme is central to both of them. So let's just round this one off, and then we'll see what anyone else has to say. So the logic can be accepted as true because mixed babies were also made in Nigerian states when the British came to colonize the country. It is hence believed that most Igbos have Portuguese genes in their body and do not even know it. Do you agree with this logic? Share your opinion in the so that's pretty much what that piece has to say, which concurs with the previous piece that we had read. Let's see what people are saying in the comment section. Ebony Gold, yes, Ebony, we're really discussing why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most in Nigeria. And what is coming across so far is that the light skin gene was introduced to the Igbo race by Portuguese traders then that came to the Nigerian shores in the 17th century, and as part of their trade and interaction with the locals, they had interactions with the females, which of course then led to the seeding of those females, which then introduced this now European gene to their black gene, and that is what has evolved through generations to the lighter-skinned Igbos that we have. But then, of course, a lot of Igbos are so light-skinned, they are more light-skinned than first-generation mixed-race people. So if this theory that the Europeans, especially the Portuguese, introduced a white gene into the gene pool of the Igbos in the 17th century, since the Portuguese left, there should have been enough of rebalancing for that gene to have either been diluted or faded away. But we still see very much that very light-skinned, almost to being almost like an European-looking Igbo person. But what really is the reason for this? This is the question that I'm asking, and I'm not yet convinced with the research material, or with what the research material is suggesting. So the research material is suggesting that it was an introduction by Portuguese traders, but it doesn't really hold water to reason or logic. So let's see what our people are saying in the comment section. And I am inviting anybody that wants to come online to come and share thoughts, You know the routine. You click on the hyperlink and then you come. Sorry, I'm just trying to say what people are saying. You click on the hyperlink and then you come online to share thoughts on why you feel the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people within the Nigerian space. That's not to say that it is only the Igbos that are light-skinned. You even have Hausa people that are light-skinned. But in the generality, the Igbos are of a more lighter shade than most within the Nigerian space. So let's go to the comment section before we go to the next research material. Hopefully the next material will give us a different slant to that Portuguese narrative, because I am not entirely convinced by that Portuguese narrative. Okay. So, Elo Iro, are you disputing that the Igbos are not from Igbo? Oh, so we've seen that. So, Ebony says, good evening, everyone. So, yes, good evening, Ebony. Paul Akar, if from Israel, because Eri, son of God, I be read. Let me see. I'm going to put this one on the screen to see if you can make sense of it, because I know that my reading can be a bit funny, but the sentence structure doesn't exactly help. This is from Paul. If from Israel, because Eri, son of God, I be read in Aguleri, which people give us name. Paul rewrites that and reconfigure it in a way that I will understand it. So Paul goes on. The pyramid in Udi is our Egypt in heritage, because they live in Egypt before coming to Nigeria. So what Paul is saying in essence is that the Igbos are actually migrants from Egypt. We've of course had the theory that the Igbos are from Israel. So please, all this fanciful stuff, it's very entertaining, but really, if you have something a bit more substantive, then that will probably help more, because this is something, it's not something, of course, that agitates me, but it is one of those little things that you've always speculated upon. So I've now come online to just share thoughts about it and to see how we together can get to the bottom of it. So hello again. Okay, thank you for clearing the air about the Igbos coming from Israel. The Igbos are not from Israel. So let's just abandon that, because that's not really the line that we want to follow. So Paul again, Israel called Ada the first female child Ada. So Ada being Ada, which of course means Ada in Igbo. So this is now the line that this guy is trying to follow. Ebony, host, please, can you do research on the generation of black people, because I can't find it in the Bible. So yes, the Bible does make reference to black people, but then of course it would not be black people in the understanding that you would have it. I'm not completely conversant with the Bible, so anybody that has any real biblical knowledge can come and share that. But of course, if all the holy books, especially the two main ones within our own region, do make reference to black people, but of course those references are not always altogether flattering, because it's usually references to slavery, etc., etc. So what is Paul saying again? Paul, I hope this makes a bit more sense. Traditional of Igbos is that, oh God, Paul, I don't really understand what you're writing, because you seem to be writing in a language that that is especially peculiar to yourself. So I'm just going to skip through that. Olamide, it just comes with an emoji. Ilo again. However, I can't be. Oh no, we're not doing Nnamdi Kanu this time around. Ilo, so forget that as a narrative. So let's see what somebody else. Let's see what other research material we have on this, and what it adds to the understanding. So this is another research material. I'm saying research material, of course, these are just things that I pulled off Google. The reason why some Igbos in Nigeria are light-skinned, despite being from West Africa, is because they descended from interracial procreation. The majority of Igbo people are not light-skinned. There are plenty of multiracial mix there are plenty of multiracial mixed in with African tribes. Strangely, in most parts of Africa, European features are viewed as desirable amongst many African people. And the more light-skinned you are, the more desirable you appear to many people, which is due to colonial brainwashing. Take note that colorism is actually racism between blacks and multiracials. So this doesn't actually speak especially to the Igbo coloration, but it speaks to a wider topic, and that wider topic, of course, is this matter of colorism. So colorism, of course, is something that we're going to have to tackle on this channel at some point, because even, and by the way, that article made a lot of points that I would like to address. Within the African setting, there is that preference. It's not a general preference, but there is, and I'm not even going to call it a fetish, because of course it's black on black, but there is some liking for the lighter shade person. So the lighter skinned person seems to get more preferential desires in their direction. You see this within almost every landscape. Light-skinned, mixed race, a lot of people find this desirable, especially within the black race. So they value that lighter-skinned person more. And there's a theory for this. There's a theory for this, and it's all to do, everything seems to go back to slavery, but there's a theory that this is actually down to the slavery time. When the lighter skinned you are, then the more the closer you get to the manor house. So the lighter, we're talking about the slave plantations now. So we're talking about the slave plantations, and in those slave plantations, you usually have a big house, which is the manor house, which is where the white plantation owner and by extension slave owner lives. And then, of course, and then further and further down the field, you have a series of people, and almost to the field and in the field, then you have the black people. So the closer to the manor house you are, the lighter your skin is. So the light-skinned ones tend to end up in the manor house, either being servants or maids or cooks, etc. And those lighter-skinned ones, we're talking about the slavery period, because somebody was referencing that there's a preference for the lighter-skinned black person, even amongst black people. But the reason, of course, one of the theories for that is what I'm describing now. So the lighter your skin, the closer you are to the manor house. And if you are really light-skinned, then you end up in the manor house working either as a servant or a maid or etc., which during that slavery period, of course, is a prized job, because you'd rather be a cook in the manor house than a slave in the field. That's just the reality of it. But then those lighter-skinned ones that end up in the manor house, they are usually the result of copulation between the slave owners and some slave female. So that's usually what happens that makes these people end up in the manor house. So that is one theory as to why that preference for the lighter-skinned person amongst the black people exists. I was about to say the lighter-skinned female, and it is more so pronounced for the lighter-skinned female. So that's one of the theories. I am inviting interactions around this. Actually, we're speaking to why the Igbos are a lot more lighter-skinned than most people within the Nigerian space. What is the reason for this? Because, of course, there has to be a reason, and the working theory that we're working with so far is that it is because in the 17th century, when the Portuguese came to southern Nigeria then to trade, then that was in during the slave trade, that was really just trading as equals. Then when they bring goods in exchange for whatever it is they could take out of Africa. So during that period, what is being suggested is that when the Portuguese trader came, their trading partners, as an act of generosity and to make them feel at home, would either give those Portuguese traders their maid or their daughters for sexual pleasures. So of course, for sexual pleasures usually lead to seeding, and then of course a lot of those females were seeded at that time, and that was how the lighter skin tone was introduced to the Igbo gene pool. But then my argument is that the Portuguese did not just trade with the Igbos in the 17th century. They traded with virtually everybody, but that light skin tone seems almost peculiar to the Igbos. So that is where that theory fails, at least for me. So the search still goes on as to why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people within the Nigerian space. So the comment section, I was hoping would shed a bit more light on this, but people seem to be going to Israel and claiming that the Igbos are from Israel and Egypt and whatnot. So that doesn't really, we're not going down that line. Let's see what D. Zikra has to say. D. Zikra. So let's see. So let's actually put his comment on the screen. So this is the Zikra preface. This is what my late great-great-grandfather told us in Imo at the age of 110 before he died. He told us that his grandfather and relatives told them the same history. So what is that history, the Zikra? So what is that history? Are you aligning with that theory that it is the Portuguese? Okay, yeah, carry on. So as D. Zikra is carrying on, just fleshing out his thoughts, let us go to further research materials to see if we can glean anything else. So we go to Quora. So Quora. You all know that particular platform, Quora. So the simple question that was put on Quora, and when was this question put, by the way? It usually tells us when the question was put. I think this is going back as far back as 2019, thereabout. So the simple question being put on Quora is that are Igbos in Nigeria mixed race? So that is the question, and of course that question is inspired by what we're discussing now, why the Igbos are so light-skinned. And let's now see what sort of responses this has gotten. So Marie Kala is the first person to chime in. I'm only reading the name just to see if that person is actually Nigerian, to see where they're coming from. But this is what this Marie has to say. No, Igbos are not mixed race people. There is no paper trail evidence nor genetic evidence of widespread sexual contact between them and another non-African group. So this already runs contrary to the working theory that we had already, that it was the Portuguese that introduced that gene into the Igbo gene pool, which I never bought in the first instance, but it looks as though this person is completely discounting it as well. So we take it from the top again. No, Igbos are not mixed race people. There is no paper trail evidence nor genetic evidence of widespread sexual contact between them and another non-African group. It is known that some in their groups have natural lighter brown skin, but not all of them. Here is genetic test of 2 Igbos, and both came out 100% African, which isn't surprising. This is a big, what does this word mean? The haplogroups. So I don't know what a haplogroup is, but if you do it, tell me in the comment section. I'll look it up in a minute. Let's actually, let's just leave that for the moment. The haplogroups of Igbos are the paternal line are African origin, and so it is for the maternal line. So the haplogroup of Igbos for the paternal line are African or that should be are of African origin. So the haplogroups of Igbos for the paternal line are of African origin, and so it is for the maternal line. So that haplogroup, I'm assuming, is some sort of genetic science language. So what this person is saying in effect is that of all the tests that they have done so far, the genetic pool of the Igbos, both maternal and paternal, are essentially 100% African, which then of course dispels, because this is now science that we're speaking to, so which then of course dispels that notion that it was actually the Portuguese that introduced the white gene into the Igbo race. So the question remains, why are the Igbos of a lighter shade than most other Nigerians? And this is quite pronounced, and this is something that we see. This is the first thing, not the first thing that strikes, but this certainly is something that strikes about the Igbos, that they are of a lighter shade than other Nigerians. But why is it? So that question remains. Let's go to Quora again, or is anybody making any comments in the comment section that sheds any more light on this? Okay. So D Zikra, I am typing more. Please be patient. So it looks as though he wants to add more to what he said already. Paula Carr, Star of David is found in Agulira or Aguliri. They make, oh, please don't go down that line. I don't understand what you're saying, and really what you're saying doesn't really stand to reason. I've put what you're saying up on the screen so everybody else can see it as well, to see if they can make sense of it. Star of David is found in Aguliri. The makes British invite star in Nigeria flags before. So I'm not sure what that means, so I hold my hands up in surrender. Look, Paul, if you want to make any meaningful contribution, then make a meaningful contribution, but certainly make that contribution in a language that we can all understand. So somebody is asking, this is Elo Ore, could someone explain why dark-skinned couples have albinos or albinos? So, well, I'm not quite sure if that is not deviating from the topic, because the albinism is a specific gene, which is, of course, peculiar to black people. A lot of people actually say blonde people, the blonde-haired European, is along the same strap lines as the albinos as well within their African space. So that is a different question from what is being discussed. So Paul again with his star of David. So I'm not getting involved in whatever it is that you're saying, Paul, because it makes absolutely no sense to me. So we go to D. Zachary. So sorry, Paul, I'm not saying, what you are saying, it doesn't actually, I'll put it up on the screen actually so that people can see if they can make a sense of it. What brings Star of David to Aguleri? Ask anybody about this. So we are not going down that line. The British people know this. This is what Paul is saying, but we're not, as I said, going down that line. I am really inviting a serious conversation to see if we can actually decipher or come to some sort of reasoned conclusion as to why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most other Nigerians. So this is something that I have often speculated on, and I'm inviting thoughts on this. If you want to come online, click on the hyperlink. You don't have to show your face, but we can hear a different voice from mine, and perhaps hear a different reasoning from mine. So we go back to the Zikra, and by the way, click on like and subscribe as well. If you are this far into the engagement, please do that, because of course that helps with the YouTube algorithm. So click on subscribe and like if you have not done that already, so that more people can be aware that this is going on. So this Zikra again, just like you have some in Yoruba land in the north and even in other African countries are doing today, and asking Igbos to leave their land also happened then. So white chased Igbos out of Europe. So this Zikra is now telling us that is this what you're landing on, the Zikra, that the Igbos are from Europe, because they are now from Israel, Egypt, and now Europe. And then Paul is telling us about the Star of David, etc. So is this what we're doing now? Let me put what Zikra is saying. This is what he is saying. Let's read that again. Just like you have some in Yoruba land, in the north, and even in other African countries are doing today, and asking Igbos to leave their land also happened then. So whites chased Igbos out of Europe. So what Zikra is having us have be the case is that the Igbos are actually Europeans. Ola Odu or Odua, Ola Odua. So it's saying to Elo, it is called a recessive gene. I think it's speaking to the albinism that Elo was trying to find out about. It is called a recessive gene. It is a kind of gene not dormant within your DNA. It occurs very infrequently. So well put, Ola. That was the explanation that I was reaching for. But then, of course, you've explained it a lot more eloquently than I have. So Ola goes on, I think there are different kinds of Igbos. There are some that are very ancient in southern Nigeria. Those Igbos are usually dark. Yes, we know that. Of course, we put that disclaimer out at the start of the session, Ola, that yes, the Igbos, of course, there's a lot of dark people. I don't know what actually constitutes the majority within the Igbo tribe or race, but we did put that disclaimer out that there are dark-skinned Igbos, there are light-skinned Igbos, and there are light-skinned people in all sections of Nigeria. So that's not to say that the Igbos are solely and exclusively the lighter-skinned, the light-skinned Nigerian, the only light-skinned Nigerians that there are. But I think we can all agree that there's a preponderance of the lighter skin amongst the Igbo people. It is more pronounced amongst the Igbos than any other tribe within the Nigerian space, that you have a light-skinned Igbo person with, of course, two black African parents. And those light-skinned ones, they're so light-skinned to the point that you will almost speculate if they are mixed race, and they are light-skinned as a matter of genetic being rather than from a bottle or from some cream. So why are they that light-skinned in Igbo land is what we're looking to tackle. So let's see what people are saying. So Paul Akar continues that the Igbos are from Israel. So we're not going to go to that one anymore, rather. So that's that. D. Zikra, it comes back. Those Igbos that returned settled in present-day Imo and Anambra State and border with Abia and Akwa Ibom. That's why Imo, Anambra, southern Enugu, eastern Abia, and southern Akwa Ibom. So this D. Zikra is insisting that the Igbos were originally Europeans who were chased out of Europe. So I'm not quite sure if you're not on your own with that one. That doesn't at all stand to anything. But let's see what research has. And by the way, let me just put the hyperlink up again, because if you are that way inclined, you can click on the link and expand on this. Zikra, come live online if you are able to, and tell me in more detail so I can interrogate what you're saying and get a better understanding. So yes, the question was asked on Quora, are Igbos in Nigeria mixed race? So somebody has already gone to genetics to dismiss that as a possibility. But let's see what other people have to say. So this question only got two responses. Chukwuemeka Caleb is Sweden-based, so he's replied as well. Igbos are not mixed race. The light skin most Igbos have can simply be traced to heredity, and probably the geographical location and weather. So now this is now starting to chime more with reason and logic. So what this chairmaker is saying is that it is almost a climatic thing and probably a diet thing as well, more than anything else. So this is what our chairmaker is suggesting. So we take that from the top again. Igbos are not mixed race. The light skin most Igbos have can simply be traced to heredity and probably the geographical location and weather, which is moderate and does not need so much protection from the sunlight. Hence, we possess a lighter pigmentation compared with other tribes around them whose climatic conditions is a lot harsher. Those comments above ascribing the light toned skin of the Igbos to sexual escapades with Portuguese does not hold water because DNA tests would have proved it long ago. So this is the most reasonable comment and explanation that I've heard so far, and this chimes more with me with reason and logic than anything else, that the Igbos are from Israel and then they are from Egypt, and now this Zikra is telling us that they're actually Europeans, and some people are telling us that it's some Portuguese gene that was introduced during the time of interaction with the Europeans. So what this person said on Quora, it stands more to reason and logic. Igbos are not mixed race. The light skin most Igbos have can simply be traced to heredity and probably the geographical location and weather, which is moderate and does not need so much protection from sunlight. Hence, we possess a lighter pigmentation. So does that So just that paragraph right there is the most logical and the most reasoned and the most reasonable reason why the Igbos would be of the shade that they are. So what he is saying is that the climate that the Igbos inhabit is a temperate climate. It doesn't get that much sunlight. So of course, you know that it is the sun that really darkens the skin, isn't it? But then, of course, if the Igbos don't get as much sunlight, of course they get sunlight, but perhaps not as much as the other people around them, and their climate is cooler and is more shaded, then of course that would then protect their skin pigment, and if it is their way of life to protect that skin pigment anyway, to have it that lighter shade, then that would have cascaded then through the generations. So that stands more to reason and logic than the Europeans, than the Igbos are from Europe, from Israel, from Egypt, or of Portuguese DNA. Because of course, we have not seen that Portuguese DNA come out in any of the DNA tests that we have been seeing so far. Anybody that wants to come online can come online. I would like somebody to actually come and interact on this topic. So we're talking about the Igbos and why they have a lighter skin tone than most people within the Nigerian space. So we last ended on the Zikra, who is trying to draw some lineage from Europe to Akwa Ibom. Elo Ero says, but they are also light skin. So who is also light skin is the question. Ola says, let me put Ola up. Ola says, but there is another wave of migrating people that also settled in the eastern region of today's Nigeria and mixed with them. I think these were the light ones. Kanu said they moved across Ethiopia. So I'm not quite sure what that narrative is. I've not read that history. So D. Zikra is trying to defend his position. He says, no, 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 no. Please read my post in chronological order as written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. to understand my point. Well, we landed on the point that you said that the Igbos were forced out of Europe, and that, of course, is reason enough for some people to quickly disregard. But he goes on to expand. He continues, the largest number of light-skinned than Ebonyi and northern Enugu and other SS states. Pay attention, the closer so-called SS are closer to Igbo, the lighter they will be. So we're really wanting to find out why the Igbos have that preponderance for that lighter skin is really what we're looking to land on. So if you really have something that nails that point, then nail it, because now you're just you are taking us down a garden path. He still continues, the Zekra. You see this with rivers and delta states, and more pronounced in Akwa Ibom. That's why Akwa Ibom, which is closer to Igbo, are lighter than Cross River, who are fairer. So we have people coming in, so let's see what they have to say. We have Chike and we have John. Guys, you've heard the topic. I'm not quite sure how far into the program you are, but we're trying to find out why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people within the Nigerian space. That's not to say that it is only the Igbos that are light-skinned, but there's that preponderance there. I think we can all agree on that in generality, the Igbos have more lighter-skinned people than any other set of people within the Nigerian space. And I'm not talking about light skin from some bottle or some cream. I'm talking about genetically light-skinned. So we're looking at the reasons for that, and we've gone through some materials that we've been able to research, and some of the theories that is coming out is to say that in the 17th century, when the Portuguese first came to southern parts of Nigeria, then this wasn't during the slave trade. Sorry, somebody's rumbling then. So can you put yourself on mute for? I'll put you both on mute, then I'll bring you back on. Just to give you the background. So the theories that we're working with is that in the 17th century, when the Portuguese came into Africa then, and they interacted with the Igbos and the Benins, by the way, they, as part of that interaction, they copulated with the females there, and then of course that genetic transfer took place then in the 17th century with that Portuguese trading session. So that is one theory. Another theory, which is a bit more far-fetched, this one is a bit with Star Trek. People are suggesting that the Igbos are from Israel, from Egypt, and what Zikra is trying to have us believe is that the Igbos are Europeans. They were forced out of Europe and they ended up in Nigeria. So these are some of the theories, and a theory that we landed on in the research so far is to say that the Igbo light skin is more to do with their temperate climate and the fact that they don't get a lot of sunlight. That's not to say they don't get any sunlight, but they don't get a lot. So that is where we are so far. So I'll bring you in, Chike, and then you, John. Chike.
Yeah, thank you, me, and thanks for what you're doing. What? Somewhat is a complex issue. Is that for time gone by, difficult to actually guess or tell the story of a Nigeria just for the Igbos, right? And it's so with time.
Sorry, I can barely hear you.
Probably my mic is not this thing. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's reverbing somehow. It's echoing back on itself. Are you on hands free or something? Because
yeah.
I'm quite keen to hear the points that you want to make.
Okay.
And we all are.
Now.
So just really, what's your theory
What's
as to why the Igbos have that preponderance
the preponderance of
for being lighter skin?
Igbo light skin, dark skin, that's what I can say is through genetic gene pool
if anybody had access to this ancient Igbo called the Isibiri and the Sibiri, we define pool of Igbo and place gene pool to zero, and the closest we can get in a genetic pool is the zero. That means no gene being closest to zero can mutate, making it possible that the Igbo genetically and their body, because of the disposition, they can adapt to.
Chike, the line is very bad, but the point that you're trying to make, it sounds very interesting, and I would like to hear that point, but I'm struggling to hear it because the line is very bad. So I'll just ask you to make some adjustments, and I'll bring John in, and then I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah. John, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Hello, John.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, you heard the topic. I think Chike was about to make a very important point, but we couldn't really get to really understand what he's saying. But of course, you've heard the topic. You've seen the banner. What says you? What is your theory as to why there's that preponderance of a lighter skinned tone, especially amongst the Igbos? What is
Hello?
your... Yes, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, the floor is yours. Make your point.
Yeah, I've been reading the comments. So I've been going through my aim to my own this evening or wherever it's daytime, I don't know where you are, is just to listen. But at a point, I was how do I put it? I have the eagerness to
yeah, you were moved to chime in.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I call it. John, because through the comments, I went through a lot of them, all of them till I call in. I believe that Igbos are not mixed race. Some of them have defined the genetic reasons why some Igbos are light, some are dark. Okay, and I saw a guy that asked, "What about the albinos?" Okay, so somebody came in and defined it. So what I understood from that question is that the guy was trying to explain. Hello, are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, the guy was trying to explain that albinos are also light skinned. I think that's my understanding from that.
No, what he said, sorry to interrupt you, John. What that guy was saying, and I don't want us to really go down the albino line, because albino is a standalone thing, and the Igbos are not albinos. Our albinos are like a recessive gene. Everybody within every black race has the possibility of having an albino, because it is a recessive gene within the black race, and in some instances, maybe 1 in a million chance, it comes out as a human being. So that is not peculiar to the Igbos, but really, what do you agree first, John, that there's an overrepresentation of lighter-skinned people amongst the Igbos? That the Igbos are, yes. So why is this? Why is this? Is the question.
I don't know.
Say your piece, then I'll go to Chike.
Yeah, I don't know, but the guy that talk of the genetic recycling, I think that boy may be right. Not marriage between or what you call sexual activity between the Portuguese or whatever white group.
No, me too. I don't buy that one. I don't buy that one because it will not be only the Igbos that the Portuguese had sex with. So, but then it is amongst the Igbos that we see that light skin the most.
Right.
Let's bring Chike in to see.
Before I leave.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to leave, by the way, unless you want to.
Yeah, because I have something to do. Yeah.
Okay, make a point.
The other question is somebody, I don't know, okay, the song.
Oh no, we're losing you. John, we're losing you.
Hello.
Okay. You are dipping out. No, we're losing you, John. We can't hear you, man. Okay, let's bring Chike in. Chike, have you been able to solve the gremlins? Okay, Chike, off you go.
I don't know. I think I'm just. I removed a speaker.
Okay.
I'm just now phone speaker.
Okay, what is your theory as to why we have this over-representation of light skin amongst the Igbos?
It's what I was in genetic, because of the genetic position of the Igbos being close to the zero gene pool. That makes it possible for their gene genetically, they can mutate according to any weather they find themselves. For instance, I heard somebody telling you Igbos are from Israel or Israel Europeans. Or no, the Igbos are not mixed at all. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you. Carry on, Chike.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying there is no genetic shape with the Israelis. No, not at all.
Okay. No, we can disregard that because so they're saying they are from Egypt, they are from Israel. Somebody is bringing in the Star of David, and another theory from Zikra is that the Europeans, they were deported. So we can disregard all of that as just fanciful stuff. But really, let's narrow it down. And really, the area that we're wanting to go to is the area that you have introduced, because of course it is genetic. But why is that genetic? Why is that gene peculiar to the Igbo people? Is the question. Because of course the Igbos are within the same geographical space as a lot of people, the Cameroonians, the Yorubas, the Edos, the etc. But they seem particularly of a lighter shade than anyone else. So really, this is what we are really looking to maybe have some understanding of.
If you still go to the same book, everybody, not only for Igbos, for every Nigerian to study that Igbo. It's a writing, ancient writings of called Nsibidi and Nsibiri. So the white man
spell that so that I can look that up later. Nsibidi.
You see, the white man pronounce it. So the white people pronounce it wrong. It is Nsibiri. Means to exist, and Nsibidi the beginning. If you're typing your Google, you can see.
Okay, carry on.
So in those texts, there are genetic pools all the way. The gene that's closest to the zero gene, which cannot be altered, the zero gene cannot be altered, is what you call the M gene. This M gene mutates according to any comment it finds itself. Now, for my that's even you can see the gene pool in part of the Yorubas and in part of all the West African coast. Yellow?
I'm with you. Yeah.
Right. It looks like me. Okay. Like I was saying,
carry on.
This genetic pool determines the color of every individual. So whoever that is telling you it is biracial or by this thing, no, it's never. Because nowhere bring an European gene and they have anything to match to the Igbo gene or to Yoruba gene or so it's all disposition.
Yes, just to add to what you said, John, Chike, and then I'll bring John in. Just to add to what you said, somebody in one of the research materials that was written out was saying that they actually did a genetic pyro group. I'm not quite sure how the technical term, but they effectively did a DNA test along the paternal lineage and the maternal lineage of a very light-skinned Igbo person, and both those parents, they were 100% African. So that introduction of that Portuguese gene, it doesn't really hold water. But what does hold water is that there's a peculiar gene amongst the Igbos that repeats to that lighter skin. So a lot of people are also saying, in addition to that gene, it's an environmental thing as well, because of the temperature and the temperance of the Igbo space is so cool and shaded that the Igbos, they don't really get to heat that sunlight as much as other people. And of course, their culture also places value to that lighter skin tone, which is what we are seeing now repeat along the genetic line to have these Igbo people. They almost, you can almost, you see some Igbo person sometimes, pure black person, and is lighter than a mixed race, a half European, half black person. So that is how light they are. Let's bring John in now. Let's see if we can hear from John. John, are you there? John? 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 Okay, we don't seem to have John, so I don't know if you want to expand on any thoughts or you want me to go to the comment section now, Chike.
Like you said, like you were saying about the skin tone of a particular one is described. Now I will give you my own example. For example, in my own family, maternal and paternal, right? Hello?
Right.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
My paternal father is like an albino, right? Now my maternal grandfather is an albino, but not all of us have this dark skin, light skin. Like my own two, I have 3 of them who look like actually sometimes if we walk in the street, you wonder if they are our children. But they are it's because of this gene pool called gene. It can mutate and it might probably come in once in a while, right? And sometimes it becomes a dominant gene in the family.
Yeah, Chike, let me ask you a question. Is albinism, is albino, is it fairly commonplace amongst the Igbos more than other tribes? I'm not holding you to that, just as a loose question. I'm not, because of course I'm not asking you if you have the science, but just as your general experience, is albinism, is it more prevalent amongst the Igbos than other tribes? Would you say that?
The reason you will say it is prevalent is because of this emu gene. Anybody that has come from family that has that light skin disposition, if the gene just, this M gene have any chance of this thing, it will turn into albinism immediately because it's close and it's already well disposed. You understand? So, but generally, that are of all skin, they are also maybe the the second generation becomes light skin because of this. So it's so easy to adapt to any prevalence lightness or any prevalence of that the genetic disposition of the person, of the parents that are giving child.
What about the climatic argument, Chike? What is your take on that? Because there's the suggestion also that because of the clemency of the weather in the eastern region, which is a lot cooler and a lot less harsh than you would find it in other regions, and the interaction with sunlight with that space is not quite as aggressive as you will find in other spaces, in the fact that they don't get that much sunlight. Of course, they get their fair share, but you have to agree that the Igbo land is really sort of a vegetative forestry sort of region, essentially. So that also, in addition to that genetic proposition that you've just put forward, adds to the color now that we're discussing, the adds to the reasons why the Igbos are of that lighter shade. Do you understand that, and do you agree with it?
Actually,
That essentially that the environment, because you don't get enough sunlight to that color again.
The have to come to that proposition. The Igbos seem to live close zero light to. See that the magnetic this thing of the sun will not affect them that much, meaning that there is relative humidity that is better than any other climate, but that it determines the color of their skin or the skin.
No, I'm saying that in addition to the genetic argument that you have now just preferred. So, Chike, if you're happy to stay on, then I'm happy for you to stay on. But I want to go to the comment section to see what people are also saying in the comment section, and then I'll come back to you if you are happy to stay on. So let me just see what our comment is coming up. John, are you using out the gremlins? Okay, let me go to the comment section, see what is being said. So D. Zekra is still on it. It says, you see this with rivers and delta people. I think it's already said that. So this is now Rex Durigi. It is complex. Our both parents are Igbo, but our blood is European Jew. What can you say about it, as you are dismissing our Jewish origin? We are also light-skinned. So what to Jewish origin? There's no DNA data to show that the Igbos have any genetic linkage, rather. There's no DNA data that I have seen, and if you have it, then please post it so I can peruse it. But there's no genetic data that traces a lineage of the Igbos to the Jews, so I'm not quite sure why people are pushing that line. So this is Chike Nwosu. Please study Igbo writings called, okay, this is what you were saying, in Sibidi and in Sibiri, the genetic race of all Igbo tribes are well explained. So that is something that I would have to look at offline. So where were we? Okay. So D. Zakra goes on, no, you are not paying attention to my point, which is wrong. Igbos are not originally Europeans, but were immigrants that were living there like they are in Yoruba land, north, and around the world. So what is still the point, Zekra? Because I'm not getting it, or maybe it's not been landed. So just land it in one succinct, straightforward sentence so I can have a full understanding of what you're saying. Bear with me. Hello, Chika, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Are you going through the comment section as I am going through the comment section? Are you picking up anything that adds to what we're discussing at the moment? Because there's all sorts of like a fanciful arguments. Somebody insisting still. And where is this? Sorry, Chike, am I right to assume that you're an Igbo man?
Myself, yeah.
Okay, so where is this theory, this insistence, and it's not just this conversation, it is something that I've always heard. Where is this insistence that the Igbos are trying to trace their lineage to the Jews? Why is this, and what underpins this?
At what time you have that?
You've never heard it before?
No, I don't know how much time you have for us through that. But
just sum it up in a short.
Yes, I understand the misunderstanding and you have about the Igbo Israel coloniality. But one is that what okay, let's put it. I had you reading a comment about somebody recommending David, the Star of David, and all whatnot, right?
No, I haven't read that comment yet.
No, I had you read it. But anyways,
No, sorry, carry on here.
If the Star of David, the Megiddo was in Igbo land by not even the sports, and confirmed by this and German, we are Europe, Eastern, and Israel. How can you say that Igbos are to them? No, because of assumption that wherever you see in the Torah, all Igbo culture and tradition. Somehow we are related. No. The Igbo race, Igbo as a people, as a is older than all these things that are written by the white people. We are not in any way related at all. I will tell you for a fact. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, I am actually struggling to hear you because I am keeping you on because your comments are quite engaging, but the line is very, very poor.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of reverberation, so I'm having to strain to hear you. I can hear you, but it is a strain. Okay, let me go to the comment section for a moment. So, Ola again, I think DNA ancestry test will solve these mysteries, Jare. So, I agree with that. And from the DNA test that people are talking about so far, there is no lineage that traces to the Jews or anybody else. The Igbos are 100% Black Africans. But why do they have that lighter skin tone? Is the question. Walter Ume, Igbos share the same DNA with Khoisan of Southern Africa. So yes, I'm willing to suspend disbelief on that because of course the Khoisans, but they look more albinic than light-skinned. But then of course that is a working theory that Walter has proposed. So I'll just highlight you so people who are watching this back can see what you have said. So Rex Duroji, our people are all born in the northern Nigeria and we're still light-skinned. It has nothing to do with weather, but rather it is pure genetic as melanin is determined by gene. So nobody is saying that it is anything to do with weather. What it's been suggested is that historically the weather has put that gene within the Igbo person, and Chike, of course, has also come up with some zero DNA theory, which he has put forward. So we're not saying it is entirely the weather, because of course, if you are born in the north and you are of a lighter skin, then you don't suddenly turn dark because you are in Kaduna. So Joshua Ibe, I love here in the UD. I love here in the UD. I'm not quite sure what you are. Maybe you say you live. I don't know. I'm not going to attempt that. So Paul Aka again. Stop talking about Portuguese Igbo. Okay. So I live here in the US. So US is what Joshua is saying. Doing DNA is very easy. I am a light-skinned Igbo. So do the DNA test then and give us some answers to these questions that we're grappling with. Joshua, again, not a drop-off European or Portuguese. So have you done your DNA test is what you're saying, and there's no drop-off European in your gene. So expand on that, Joshua. Gertrude, what kind of topic is this? We are asking why, this is for Gertrude, we're asking why the Igbos, above all else within the Nigerian space, are of a lighter skin. So we're trying to find out if it's to do with DNA, and some of the theories that's been proposed is that they had some interactions with the Portuguese. Some people are even being fanciful and saying that they are migrants from Europe, Israel, Egypt, etc. But really what we're trying to narrow down is why the Igbos are of a lighter skin tone in generality than most people within the Nigerian space. So Emmanuel Chukuna, the Igbos J. I don't know what that means. I'll put that up so you see what I'm saying. So this is Gertrude again. One man, instead of you to focus on Nigerian issues, you are here talking about light-skinned. Well, Gertrude, we're not one single story line. We encompass all of human sphere, including politics, human nature, lifestyle. Not so much lifestyle because I don't really know anything about lifestyle. I'm not a person of fashion, but certainly the narrative is not just singular to politics. So Kevin is up next. Igbo, Akwa Ibom, Cross River are ancient Hebrew people of books and Bible. These three ethnic groups have common ancestry. So we're back to that Star of David narrative again. So Gertrude again, this is what I hate about Nigerians. Why can't you be serious for once? It is a very serious topic, Gertrude. Talk about all the issues that are clouding Nigeria. Well, we talk about that all the time, but we can't talk about that solely. So Paul Aka again, if Igbos are not from Israel, what bring Eri, the father of Igbo, to Aguilera? So he's still insisting. So that is Paul Aka. You can see him on your screen. Soji Adamo, what a stupid subject. It's either it's natural or mixed heritage. We're chatting nonsense. I'm not quite sure, so I'll put that up so see if others can make sense of it. Gertrude, one man, talk about Nigerian issues. We talk about Nigerian issues all the time, Gertrude. Soji again, I think we've actually had Soji once on the channel. Soji, if you want to pop up and express your views, you can. That's the link. You know what the process is. Soji again. So what if there are fairer-skinned people in the world? I expect better from you. Soji, I'm not quite sure what your expectation is, but I drive this channel and I drive it based on whatever tickles my picadillo. So it tickles my picadillo at the moment to explore why the Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people within the Nigerian space. So that is the topic of discussion for this particular session. And I'm sorry if it's not to your liking, but of course, the politics will come in further sessions. And this is going to be the sequence, by the way. So these late night sessions will be more like human stories, lifestyle stories, human sphere storylines. And then, of course, the afternoon sessions will be mainly politics-led, but not exclusively politics. So that is going to be how it's going to progress. Kevin, anybody in doubt about Igbo's Hebraic should seek the face of Almighty God and confirm the Igbo Jewishness. So I would like somebody to come and tell me why the Igbos are so insistent or on linking themselves to the Jews. I'm not quite sure how many Jewish people are especially linking themselves to Igbos, but the Igbos are so fervent in that need to form that association with the Jews. Emmanuel comes up. Igbos is like pronouncing Hebrew. So Igbo is like pronouncing, let me put you up, Emmanuel. Igbo is like pronouncing Hebrew. Some towns in Igbo land have some names in the Bible, like Eri. So forget all that. You can form all of those associations. I'm sure the Eri, if it is in the Bible, is certainly nothing to do with whatever Eri you have in Igbo land. Soji, Gertrude, I'm with you on this. So, well, I'm just going to leave that because I'm not going to address that. So Gertrude again, one man, the answer to your question is to differentiate the Igbos from other people in Nigeria. So I'm not sure how that narrative is going, so I'll leave that there. Rex, why are everyone bothering themselves about the Igbos' peculiarities instead of focusing on Igbo freedom? Is this jealousy or persecution? It is neither. It is just inquisitiveness. So Chinwike is the next person. We have Jim in this magnetic. We know its origin. If you conduct a DNA test in the worldwide scope, you will find more of our people, even in South America and other places. So on and on it goes. So Gertrude again says, one man, at least when you see me, you will automatically know I am an Igbo girl. So I'm not quite sure if the topic is not landing, because perhaps you came in and maybe you want to watch it back. The question simply is, out of the multiplicity of ethnicities that we have within the Nigerian space, because the Nigerian space is, of course, is not divided into just those 4 subgroups. The Igbos are of a lighter shade than most people in generality, and profoundly so, than other ethnic nations within the Nigerian space. So my simple question is, why is this the case? So this is just really to test that space, and it is nothing that goes beyond that. And the conversation so far has been to the topic. So I'm not quite sure what you and Soji are trying to introduce. But then, of course, this channel is not exclusively politics. If you had that impression, then let me disabuse that. It is not exclusively about politics, because, of course, other human experiences is going to be explored as well. So with that, I'm hoping that no further comments will be made along those lines. So let's see what anyone else is saying that chimes with the topic of discourse. Jacob B. Woman, you are too obsessed with Igbos. I will advise you to concentrate more on your Yoruba people, cause Igbos are mysterious folks and enigmas. So, of course, yes, everybody is enchanted by the Igbos. They are enchanting people. Gertrude says she's voicing her opinion, and you're welcome to do that. Ola Gertrude, then you cannot tell him the kind of topics to present or not. But that is exactly my point. Gertrude says she can, and she has the right. Of course, you have the right to say whatever it is you choose to say. But then, of course, I have the right also to disregard. We have Mark Henry. The Mauryan civilization has been described as the earliest of its kind in the South Europe, to be precise. That is, the first link in the European chain. So Igbos don't only have lighter skin, but also blue eyes, gray and blue eye line in some cases. So yes, the Igbos, they do have, they are quite specific in their genetic, which is really something of a wonderment to myself. Let's bring Chike in again to see if our Chike is still there. Chike, are you still with us?
Yes.
Chike?
Sir.
Yes, what are you making of the direction of the conversation so far? I mean, I'd like to keep it on topic, but what are you making of it? Because somebody has also introduced the fact that the Igbos, they also have, in some instances, enough instances to notice, they have different color eyes and even sometimes different color hair. So really, the Igbo genetic is quite unique, and somebody has tried to draw the parallel between the Igbos and a subgroup within Southern Africa who also seem to have that lighter pigmentation. What do you make of all this, Chike?
Yeah, the fact is that this not theory, are verifiable facts. Not even within the fines of Nigerian space. If you go down to the Yoruba land, you will still see the Igbo's there. If you go down to the north, you will still see the Igbo likes there. All the way, and even South Africa, what happened that, as you know, the Igbos are restless and travelers. I've been traveling since the ancient, with a lot of them all over the world. But while when something, they will also come back to Igbo land. These are we call the people who also
all today, till today, and we still refer them as the Osuoso, the people of Osu. Whenever there is burst of trouble or war, they will also run back to the Igbo land. But though remnant of them live wherever they are back from, right? This is now comes the theory where you see of some of us are saying they come from the Middle East. No. What happened? There was trouble in that part of the world. The Igbos have to run back to the east where they come. That is how came in there. And mind you, when you come back in this time, there are a lot of land, so you can choose wherever and anywhere you see that is you like that can adopt you and your family. You pinch your tent. That's how the Aglade is pinched. Yes, from the Middle East where they have sojourned. There is a trouble, and they run back to Igbo land. So are the Onisha people. This verifiable.
No, you're saying it's verifiable, but you're saying they escaped the Middle East to Igbo land. But look at the distance between the Middle East and Igbo land. So are you saying then they couldn't find a place of safety between the Middle East and Igbo land to the point that they ended up in Igbo land? So is that what you're proposing?
No, let me give you an instance now. What happened to me here 4 years ago? We were doing a research, and we were told to go and visit what do you call it? Museum. When we museum, this is the Museum of Indigenous People, Canada, right? And how the Portuguese came into Canada. When we go to that museum, they now told us that the people we call the indigenous of Canada today are not the ancient people that the Kazakhs, that the ancient indigenous people ritually and with the art in this museum. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
So when we got to this museum, they told us that the ancient indigenous Canadians were the people they called the Dinas. Now I said to this man, the curator of this museum, that there is wrong in what they pronounced. He said, yes, that was what the indigenous people of Canada called them. Now I told him, no, this thing called Ndedi Ana. That is how it is written in Igbo in Sibidi. What does that mean? It means that these ancient people who were in Canada, and when the Kazakhs can start to kill them, they have to run back.
You're taking us too far now, TK. You are taking us to Canada when we have not even solved the
that is what I'm question. You ask me why the distance between the Nigeria and that of the Europe. Now I'm telling you why they should. If today something happened in Canada, I will have to run back to Nigeria to make sure I'm safe. And if I run back to Nigeria, for instance, I have left Nigeria for the past 40 years. Let's put it that way. And I get back to Nigeria, where I settled first. I will have to settle their shelter first. That was how it. Now the distance, mind you, in the ancient time, the river, what you call the river, and I appreciate it. There was no means of transportation except by boat then. So the distance doesn't really matter. You are running.
Let's not go far down that path. But let me read to you what because this topic is actually being tackled online as well, actually. And I came across this question being posed on Quora. So the question was posed, and this is one of the answers that was given. So I'll read it to you. Okay. So this is from Quora. The simple question is, are Igbos in Nigeria mixed race? So that is the simple question, and that is going off the back of that Portuguese gene theory. And this is what Chukwuemeka Caleb said. So I've read this before, but I'll read it again. It says, Igbos are not mixed race. The light skin most Igbos have can simply be traced to heredity and probably the geographical location and weather, which is moderate and does not need so much protection from the sunlight. Hence, we possess a lighter pigmentation compared with other tribes around whose climate conditions are a lot harsher. Those comments above ascribing the light tone skin of the Igbo to sexual escapades with the Portuguese does not hold water because DNA test would have proved it a long time ago. So that is the position on Quora. There is another position which I'll also give you because it was completely disregarded, dismissed, that Portuguese theory. This is another response to that same question. No, Igbos are not mixed race people. There is no paper trail evidence or genetic evidence of widespread sexual contact between them and another non-African group. It is known that some in their groups have natural lighter brown skin, but not all of them. Here is genetic test of 2 Igbos, and both came out with 100% African, which is not surprising. The haplogroup of Igbos for the paternal line are African origin, and so it is for the maternal line. So they've traced the genetic pool of the average mixed race, not mixed race, you say they are so light skinned that you almost think of them as mixed race, but they've traced the genetic pool of the average light-skinned Igbo person, both along the paternal and maternal lines, and they have found them to be 100% African. But yet, when you see some Igbo people, they are so light-skinned that as they pass almost for mixed race, or even lighter than a mixed race person. So what is that specific thing that makes that to be the case is really what we're looking to tackle. And I think you've added some theories to that with, was it the zero gene pool that you said or something, Chike?
Yes, the gene pool. In the gene pool, we have 0, M, N, L, all the way to Z, right? It is that M gene that is prevalent in genetic that is not found in any other race, that is making it like.
Okay, Chike, we have Zikra on the line now. He has been commenting, so he perhaps wants to add a different perspective to the conversation. So Zikra, off you go.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. Okay, let me provide more context to my point.
So sorry, make it succinct.
Okay,
so that
sure.
yeah, so that it is not heavy going for the sessions. So just land it on key points so that we can then tackle it from there. So the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Before I even say anything, let me just say that do you know what Igbo states have the largest amount of light skin Igbos?
No, I don't.
Okay, it's Imo State and Anambra State.
Okay.
And why is that so important?
I don't know why, but we're getting feedback from you as well.
Okay, it's because that
maybe use a headphone to listen back so that we can hear you directly, because I'm keen to hear what you have to say, but we're struggling to hear it.
Okay, let me try to bring my volume down. 1 second. Okay, yeah, hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. If you go to Igbo states like Ebonyi, the Igbos there, they are dark-skinned people, very dark-skinned, like you, Yorubas, and like in houses.
Okay.
Why is that so important? Is because the Igbos that you find in Imo State, in Anambra State, they are not the same Igbos as the one in Ebonyi State.
Okay.
The Igbos in Anambra and Imo State, they are the Igbos that came back from Europe.
Okay. Okay. Now, I wanted you to get there.
Okay.
So now, take us through that narrative and be factual and to the point with it,
Sure.
and be clear in the language that you use as well, because this is a very left field theory that you're proposing, but we're willing to entertain it. So land it.
Okay, great. My late great grandfather told me that, or told us that the Igbos you find in Imo State and in Anambra State, these are the Igbos that came back from Europe. Just like you have Igbos right now living in
Sorry
Lagos.
to interrupt you, Zekra. You say they came back from Europe. How
Yes.
did they end up in Europe in the first place? So
Okay, great.
their first incarnation, what was their first incarnation?
Great,
Because you are
great.
bringing it from Europe,
Yeah.
but how did they end up in
Yeah,
Europe?
I'm trying to lay the foundation first. Okay.
Okay, carry on.
Just like you have Igbos right now in Lagos, in Ogun State, in Kano, in Abuja, in America, they had Igbos then in Europe. Yes. And over time, the Igbos there began to intermarry and have kids. They, married the white women there, and they had mixed children who are light skinned. Okay. And then over time, the whites in Europe began to resent the Igbos. Why? The Igbos were owning, their land, their houses, their trades, commerce, and then they chased the Igbos from Europe back to Africa.
Sorry, Zekra, how far back are we going? Put a century on it.
Okay,
Put a date on it.
roughly about 10th century.
10th century?
Yes. Through like 14th century. No. Why?
No.
That was before the Europeans came to Africa.
There wasn't even an Europe in the 10th century. What are you talking about, my man?
Well, don't
10th century?
Don't use the word Europe, okay? This was during the Roman Empire.
In the 10th century?
Yes.
That is even more fanciful than Igbos are from Israel. I mean, what's going on here?
So,
my man, come on. We're all educated people here,
When the Igbos came back to Africa, they settled in Imo State. And those Igbos were light-skinned Igbos.
Okay, so take us from before they ended up in Europe. Where were they before they made that migration to Europe? What were they and where were they?
The Igbos were in Igbo land at the time. And
then they migrated to Europe.
Yes, to Europe.
And then because they were so commercially astute,
Right.
they came across resentment and they were chased back to Igbo land. Is that the narrative?
Yes, the same way you have some Yorubas
Does
right
that
now
not sound fanciful to you?
Telling the Igbos to leave Lagos.
No, does that not sound far-fetched to you?
No.
It doesn't sound far-fetched to you. What you just said now.
No.
And that is a working theory that you would like people to take on board.
That's
Igbos migrated in the 10th century
to... my grandfather told me before he died.
Okay, well, I can't dispute the words of your grandfather,
Okay.
Because of course he will be more knowledgeable than me, especially in Igbo matters, but I will struggle to contend with that as a theory, what you've just proposed. But carry on, land your point, yeah?
My point is that, okay, for you to really understand the Igbo light skin, dark skin, you have to go to Imo State. And if you go there right now, I will show you a particular place that you will find Igbos that look like white people right now.
No, we see that anyway.
With
but
blue eyes,
really, why is that? Is what we're
Because,
so that's not in dispute.
They are mixed
but
people.
Certainly,
they are mixed people.
No, they are not. They are not, because the DNA has already shown us that both along pattern. You've heard the things that I've read out so far. DNA has already shown us that for the light-skinned Igbos, along both the paternal and the maternal lines, the genetic codings are to 100% African, and it is only really amongst Africans that you get 100% DNA coding. So so we already have the science to say that that is not the case, and that immediately dismisses and disregards that Portuguese insertion theory. And really, with all due respect to your grandfather, that might well be something that he just told you to entertain you, but I'm not quite sure if he's asking you to base it as a scientific position. What do you make of that? Sorry, let's bring Chike in. Chike, are you listening to this? Chike, have we got you still? Go on then, Zikra. Did you want to learn your point?
Okay. Yeah, I think back to the gene, stuff. I think genes would always change over time. As people live longer, the genes tend to morph and change over time. That's gonna happen over time. Okay. The Igbos right now, they may have the Igbo gene, the African gene. That's fine, but some Igbos who arrived the Igbo land, they were not pure Igbo people. They were a mixed people from Europe who came back, and they began to mix with the dominant gene people who were the real Igbo people.
You know that there's a different argument to say that that mix is actually Middle Eastern from Israel, Egypt, etc.
No.
But you've heard that theory,
Yes,
yeah?
yes, I have. I have.
What is your position on the Igbos being Jews?
Yes, they may have some point, because the Igbo, if you look at their culture, it has some
describing
Hebrew.
a potpourri.
It has some Hebrew, connection to it. So that they have a point, there.
You know what they call? I don't know if you've ever lived in Lagos or any part of Yoruba land. There's a particular sort of a soup within Yoruba land that is a mixed blend of all manners of things. In some instances, you even mix fish with meat. We call it orishirishi. What you are describing is an orishirishi, sort of like a blend of European, Jewish, Egyptian, and then the Star of David. So we're going into uncharted territory now.
I don't buy the Hebrew connection, okay, because
that's just too fanciful anyway.
Yeah, if you mix an Hebrew with a black person, the result of that mixture would not look like how the Igbos look like right now. The Alaskan Igbos look like a mixture of white and black.
Yeah, that's what I said. They look they look like a mixed race people. They look like your traditional mixed race European black person mix.
Right.
But what really puzzles is that in some instances, and I don't even have to show you a picture because I'm sure you've experienced this directly yourself. In some instances, these Igbo people, they're so light-skinned that they're even lighter skinned than your mixed race person, almost to an European level likeness. But then when you but then when you look at their paternal lines, you see that the mother is black African, the father is black African, but then of course the offspring, and we're not talking about bastardization, by the way, we're talking about the sons and daughters of these actual people, but the skin is so light that almost just a step away from being like an European level lightness. So this is really the puzzle, and this is really what we're looking to address. It's not anything heavy duty. It's just really a curiosity that I've brought online to share with you guys. So we're taking.
Let me end here by saying that this topic is very, very difficult to address because people don't really know what happened, and the best way to try to convey that fact is to have you come down to Imo State, okay? And I would show you.
No, I don't think the
No, no, hold on,
solution
hold
is
on,
in
hold on,
Imo
hold on,
State.
hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, hold on. And I would show you a location in Imo State where you will find Igbo people that look like white people.
Okay,
And
but yes, yeah, go on.
we call them Mukocha. Mukocha. It means people of white people.
Okay, I don't think the solution is in Imo State. I
No,
think the
it's right there. No,
solution.
it's
So
right there.
hold on, Zikra. I don't think the solution is in Imo State. I think the solution is in science. So it's something that really DNA has to unravel, because I don't think any of these theories that we're hearing so far,
Well,
they hold water that much.
for you to have science, you must have a subject to test the science on, right?
Yeah, the subject is the light-skinned Igbo person.
Yes. But my point is that the subject, they are in Imo State.
Yes, but I'm saying the answer is not in Imo State. The answer is in the science of
How
that
can you
person.
have an
Yeah.
answer without the subject?
No. I think we're just
You know?
we're being a bit we're almost pedantic here. But I think you understand the point that I'm making. It's not really so much that the Imo State whatever. Yes, the person might well be in Imo State, but what makes that person light skinned is really the question, and the answer to that question is in the science, is in
Okay.
DNA.
Let me ask you, okay, why do you think that the Igbos in Ebonyi State are dark-skinned people?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I don't think you're getting the
No, it
point. It
does.
does.
It
No,
does.
the geography it is not. It doesn't matter. The person is what matters. So irrespective if they're in Onitsha or Abakaliki or Umahia, etc. So that geography might well be part of the answer, but the answer really is in the genetic coding of that person. What makes them what they are? What traces do they have to other sort of beings out there in the world that then mixes and meshes to make them what they are? Because what Chike was saying is that within genetics, there's different gradients, and the lower the gradient, the more your gene cannot be diluted. So what Chike was suggesting, Chike, I'm not sure if you're still there, and if you want to chime in to correct me if I'm.
Let me ask. Chike, a very simple question. Okay, Chike, are you there?
No, Chike is not speaking up, so I'm not quite sure if he
Okay.
stepped away from his
Chike, you are there, or if there are any Igbos right now online? Igbos, let me ask you right now. Do you know why the masquerade called Adama? Okay, why we depict those masquerades as light-skinned people, as white people?
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a leap of suggestion here and suggest that the masquerade hankers or it tells them, because you know that the whole thing of masquerading is really storytelling from an ancestral perspective.
I'm not really for Igbos. Okay. The Igbos, they allowed the Adama masquerade, Adama and Adeze to be.
No, what is
to be
Adama and Adeze to the
yeah,
uninitiated? I am from Oyo
these are
Alaafin, so I have
these
no.
are female masquerade in Igbo land, and we allowed those two to be depicted as white people. And why is that? It's because those Adama and Adeze, they were part of the masquerade that the Igbos in Europe brought back to Igbo
Oh,
land.
come off it,
Yes,
Zikra.
yes,
You're an
yes,
educated man. I can hear from your intonation and
yes.
your reasoning that you're an educated man. So please, don't do this to yourself.
No.
Don't do this to yourself. Huh?
You may not like my point. That's fine, okay. But that's what happened in Igbo land, okay. We allow
No. You
people in
can't say
Igbo
that's what
state.
happened. That is your
No.
understanding.
It's a
Because
fact. It's a fact.
no, come on.
It's a fact, okay.
What backs it up? Where's your empirical evidence?
Go right now or ask any Igbo person right now, why do we depict those two masquerades as white people? Why?
Okay, Zikra, I'm happy for you to stay on if you're happy to
Okay.
stay on. But let's go to the comment section to see what people are making of the interaction. So this is what Ola has to say. It says, Gertrude, nothing is misplaced here. Or I think it's addressing the fact that Gertrude was suggesting, Gertrude and Soji, they were suggesting that this is a topic that should not be tackled and we should only speak of politics. But from my interaction with you so far and Chike, this is a very engaging conversation. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So I'm going to just skip through Gertrude and Soji because they are insistent on that point, trying to narrow us down to a singularity. So Emmanuel, the theory do not stand. The name of some towns in Igbo land have some Bible names. Is it a coincidence? Ora Ire in Inri. Let me put it up so you can see it as well because I might well be mispronouncing it. So Ora Iri, Inri, Agulu, Iri, etc. So it's trying to draw some biblical inferences to Igbo names to hammer that point that the Igbos are indeed part of the greater Jewish race. So Jacob, he says, one man, I am your friend, leave Igbos alone. Well, I'm not holding on to Igbos, but I am an Igbo fan and an Igbo enthusiast, and there's nothing that that fascinates me more than the... You know, one of my favorite cultures, actually, Zikra, one of my favorite cultures is the Igbo culture, and my favorite culture is the Igbo village culture. It's so rich in depth and in color and in resonance. I love it very much. So I love that Igbo thing. And I am an Oyo man, and proudly so, but that doesn't preclude me or exclude me from having an appreciation of that Igbo culture. Of course, there are certain things amongst the Igbo cultures that I'm not entirely au fait with, but the culture I do very much admire. So let's see who else is saying what. Okay. So Emmanuel, Yorubas have common linguistic with Igbos, like Yorubas call stone okuta, and Igbos call it akwete, mouth enu, and onu, goat, ewere, and ewu. Ewure and Ewu. So I think it's trying to draw a commonality there.
Yes.
Would you agree that because I know the Igbos there's nothing that the Igbo would hate more than to have that association with the Yoruba person. They want to distance themselves as far as possible from the Yorubas. That's just my loose understanding.
Let me say that the Yorubas have two distinct history. Okay, they have the Yorubas with Igbo blood. Yeah, really, Igbo blood Yorubas, and they have Yorubas with Dahomey blood. Are you aware of that?
Well, you know, since you've already come up with the theory that the Igbos are from Europe, I've already put you in a category, so you are still within that category.
Yes, you know, if you go to states like in Ondo State right now, in Ondo State, you will find the Yorubas there who are light skinned, right?
Yeah, but the people from Ondo State, they're a mixed blend between the Benis and the Yorubas.
Yes. And Yorubas, they have both Igbo blood and they have both Dahomey blood.
Yes. I'm not sure about the Igbo blood, but certainly the Dahomey blood, yes, of course. Yeah, we share that common lineage.
The Igbo blood, you can easily go to the people in Ijebu Igbo in Yoruba land.
The Ijebu Igbo, not
Yes.
Igbo.
Ijebu Igbo.
You this man, I'll start to suspect you.
Okay. If you go right now and test their DNA, okay, they have Igbo blood. Yes. The Ijebu Igbo, the Ewa people, the Igbos in Ekiti.
Yes.
Ekiti. These are Igbo blood people. Okay.
No, you're listing the entirety of the Yoruba space now. But let's go to the comment section as we seek to round it off. We're none the wiser as to the question actually why the Igbos have a lighter skin? Because we've come across several theories so far, but none of them have yet really hit that nail of reason and logic to say that we can accept this as a possibility. But people are
My
speaking.
point, my point is the most defining point that lays some credence to why Igbos have light skin.
Okay, brilliant. Is that your parting comment as I seek to round off the session? So, what will be your parting comment? Essentially, is
Okay.
that the Igbos are a mixed blend of European as well as the Black natives because of their diasporic experience tracing back to the 10th century.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also that, and also that the mixture did not happen in Igbo land. It happened back in Europe.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zikra. I'm going to let you go as I seek to round it off, but it has been interesting. So come on again. You've made it engaging, so I always invite people back, and you're one of those that I'd like to hear from again. So that's Zikra, and his thoughts are that Igbos are actually Europeans. So that's just to paraphrase. That's not exactly what he said. So let's now see what the comment section is saying. Uchenna, all the groups in Nigeria have something unique about them. Yorubas have almond-shaped eyes that are unique to them. I think that should interest you a lot. So yes and no, I'm not quite sure what that says. So Gertrude, since no one has the real answer, yes, we've not really landed on a real answer yet. Paul Aka again, do you know that Odudua is Igbo man? It is wrong calling of Odudua Igbo means the last child of Igbo. So apparently Odudua is Igbo. So we have Okoye. He says, ah, ha, ha, ha. These guys are very funny. Okay, well, you've not really expanded on that, so we're not sure what humor you're asking us to share in. Michael, this guy talking now is talking trash. He knows nothing. So I'm not quite sure if it's myself or some of the contributors. So because you've not expanded on that, Michael, or perhaps it is all of us that are just talking rubbish as far as you are concerned. Okoye, they are naturally light-skinned. Yes, they are naturally light-skinned, but the point really that I was looking to address, Okoye, is that yes, the Igbos are naturally light-skinned, but if you look at the surrounds of them, the peoples that surround them, from the Cameroons to the Yorubas, etc., the people that surround Igbo land, they are essentially dark-skinned and profoundly more darker skinned than the Igbo people, and the Igbo people are uniquely light skinned, almost uniquely light skinned, and they are, you can just identify it within them. So why is this the case is the question. Why is it that as an island within a surrounding of a fairly dark, like you see my skin now, this is your typical black African Yoruba person, Cameroonian person, but the Igbo tonality, the Igbo tone, is of a much lighter shade than mine. So why is it the case that the Igbos as an island within that mix have that particular pigmentation? That is what we were looking to engage with. We've had several theories, but none of them really stand to reason and logic as far as our reason and logic would have it. So that is Okoye. Okoye says, so many albinos in Igbo land. So that is one of the theories that we're working with. If there's a lot of albinism within Igbo land, then that would explain, because of course, if you have an albino, then that is an extreme light skin, and if that light skin, extreme light skin then procreates, that extreme light skin is watered down, but its inflection will still reflect as the Igbos reflect. So that is not something that I'm going to dismiss out of hand, that there might well be a lot of instances of albinos or albinism within the Igbo people. But then, of course, that then begs the next question, that why is that the case? So interesting proposition by Okoye. Rosalind, which tribe has albino children? So I'm not quite sure. That is an open-ended question, isn't it? Paul Aka again, why should a Yoruba man tell me about myself? Well, nobody is telling you about yourself. We're having a conversation. Okoye again, Igbo light skin complexion is not about mixed with white people. Igbos are naturally light skinned. So, Roslyn, which tribe has more? So, you've asked that question already. Rosalind again, only a black people can have different shades of people. The white race can't unless they have the black gene in their DNA. So I'm not quite sure what the science is on what you just said. Rosalind again, my family has light-skinned people. Harry comes in. If anybody else wants to click on the link and come up with a different theory from what we have heard already, then that is still the link. I am looking to round off, but it's been that engaging that I'm just tarrying on a bit. So this is Harry Taylor. The Igbo light skin is due to multiple factors. Their interaction with Europeans, if they are on the coast, and also the climatic condition, if they live in areas where the sun and heat is not strong. So that is a working theory, especially the last half of that. That is more something that I am willing to entertain, that the climate might well be one of the reasons why the Igbos are of that particular shade. Rosalind again, all races came from Africa. Yes, all humankind do come from Africa. Michael, sir, this guy knows nothing about his people. Please, if you want to know much about the Igbos, look to Bible and Torah. The answers are there. Okay. So Harry again, this light skin issue is common in Cameroon, Kenya, and Sierra Leone. I'm not quite sure how common light skin is in Kenya and Sierra Leone. You have to understand there is no real thing as a Sierra Leonean. Sierra Leone, as well as Liberia, they are essentially made up of slaves that were freed from the Americas and are exported back to Africa. This is my understanding, unless somebody else has a different understanding of Sierra Leone. But that is my understanding of Sierra Leone. Rosalind, Jacob and Esau, one was black and white. So I'm not quite sure where you're getting that from. Soji, no doubt the topic is interesting. I am not so narrow. However, I don't think anyone on this present platform has any real empirical evidence to further the issue. So yes, the fact that we don't have empirical evidence does not really mean that we cannot muse or speculate on the topic. This is the point of our conversation. So because in the course of that conversation, of course, information that you might not well previously have known might well come to light. So that is the whole point, not empirical evidence. We're not under laboratory conditions. So Rosalind again, Igbos were taken on the Atlantic slave ship to different countries, even Americas. I think that is the experience of a vast majority of Black Africa, not just the Igbos. Rosalind again, let's see, Yorubas were also taken, okay. I'm just looking for something a bit more pungent, a bit more direct, something more meaty than... So, Michael, sir, please, Genesis 46:16 gives the answers about. So, I'm not quite sure what. Genesis was the first book of the Bible, isn't it? Are we now saying that the Igbos are now in the first book of the... I think Genesis is the creation passages of the Bible, isn't it? It's the creation passage, the Adam and Eve passage. So, are we now taking the Igbos back to Adam and Eve? Okay. So any new thing before I seek to round off? So I'll go to the internet again, some of the things that are lined up. So if anybody else wants to come on, because I was looking to close the session, but then I don't then feel inclined to do that just immediately anymore. So this is another question being posed on Quora. Why are Igbos in Nigeria light-skinned despite being from West Africa? So this is a question that somebody put out on Quora, and Curtis Graham, a British person, tries to chime in. Not all Igbos are light-skinned, and there are other Nigerian ethnic groups that sometimes commonly produce light-skinned people, but a very high proportion of Igbo people are indeed light-skinned, or at least quite fair-skinned, compared to all and most other Nigerians and West African ethnic groups. So that person has not really... Okay, I think it goes on. So let's see what else this person has. It's actually written a bit of an epistle, a bit of a thesis on this. So it says why? Well, let's see. Many people will naturally assume it is due to some kind of historical, sorry, I take that from the top again. Many people will naturally assume it is due to some kind of history of racial admixture with non-black African people like white Europeans. But if you speak to most light-skinned Igbo people, they will tell you that they have no known or verified history of mixed race ancestry in their family bloodline, and that as far as they know, they are 100% Nigerian Igbo. In all likelihood, they are probably telling the truth, and some even prove this with DNA testing. I would like to say the majority of reasons for this is simply down to a natural possessing of a light skin complexion that is caused by a natural genetic selection process that has nothing to do with having mixed race ancestors. It may be hard for many people outside of Africa to believe, but some black Africans are just naturally light-skinned or medium-toned skinned and do not all have very dark complexion as seemingly portrayed in media or public eye. Another explanation could be linked to the huge role the Igbo people played in the transatlantic slave trade in the 18th and 19th century. At least 2 million African slaves were exported to the New World from the predominantly Igbo-speaking areas of southeast Nigeria, and the Igbos had extensive and deep slave trading ties with white Europeans, especially the British. It is very possible that a good amount of racial admixture between Igbos and the white Europeans, occurring as a result of the two races interbreeding with each other, happened in these historical times. Of course, that did happen, but on what scale, we simply cannot say at this point. So it's going back to that admixture again, but I am suggesting that the Igbo light skin predates the European encounter. So really, that explanation still does not really convince me. But this guy rounds off. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are Nigerians that do have mixed race ancestry in their family bloodline, especially those belonging to Nigerian ethnic groups living along the coast that had a long history of trading with white Europeans for centuries. But bear in mind that the Igbos are not really a coastal dwelling people at the same time. Their original home is in the hinterlands of modern-day southeast Nigeria. The most likely explanation for many Igbos being light-skinned is that it is mostly down to natural causes to do with genetics rather than racial mixing with white Europeans or other non-blacks. Anyway, here is an example of a natural light-skinned Igbo person. So the person goes on to add a series of pictures, or might well be pictures of the same person, including Pat Utomi and some footballers, etc. So that is a good piece, but I'm not quite sure if there's anything of a substance to be gleaned from that. Anybody else wants to chime in? If you want to chime in, I'd like to hear another voice before I go, unless, of course, you people have been a bit squeamish. Let's see. This is another commentator. This is an Igbo person. Is an accountant. Long before the British came to Nigeria, the Portuguese had been there. The Portuguese. Okay, so we've already seen that theory. So Anonymous. Whilst I do agree, African phenotype. Whilst I do agree, Africans phenotypic expression, I don't know what phenotypic means, I have to look that up. Whilst I do agree, Africans phenotypic expression range with shades of brown, from dark brown to medium brown to light brown. I pose to you a very unfortunate statistic. Many actually, in some cities, the statistics is most light-skinned Africans today have unfortunately bleached their skin. So we're not talking about bleached skin actually. So I think this person is just off key. So this person chimes in. This is from Nigeria. First of all, I'll correct the stereotype. Not all Igbos are light-skinned. I don't think anybody is suggesting that all Igbos are light-skinned. You'll find chocolate, ebony, and dark-skinned ladies and guys amongst them. Also, light-skinned women and guys are not restricted. I don't think. I'm not going to bother with this because I hate people who always start off key just to be au fait and what is it? Woke. I think woke. That sounds like a woke sort of like a commentary. Let's just seek to round it off now, actually, because we're 2 hours into the session, but we're really none the wiser as to why the Igbo people have a lighter shade skin than most people within the Nigerian space. So anybody else with any other theory? Chimeze John, even here in Europe, white people don't have the same color. So we leave it there. So the question remains, and the conversation can carry on in the comment section, because really we've gone through a series of theories, from the bizarre to the ridiculous to the ones that stands a bit more to reason and logic. So we've gone from the Star of David to Israel to Egypt to Europe and all manners of things. But really the theory that we, and even to interactions with Europeans in the 17th century, some person was actually even telling us that the Igbos migrated from Igbo land in the 10th century to Europe, and because they were so successful in Europe, they were forced back rather to Igbo land, and that, of course, that admixture that took place whilst they were in Europe was what was transmuted then back to the Igbo gene pool. So all manners of fanciful theories have been explored, but the one that I will take as a takeaway is that the Igbos, somebody came up with a theory, I think it was Chike, that there's a gene within the Igbo person that does not really take very well to admixture, and that the genetic chart, I'm just putting it in crude language because I don't have the scientific grounding for it in genetics. So what he's saying in loose terms is that there's a gradient within genetics, and the lower you get to 0, the more difficult it is for your genes to mix. I'm paraphrasing you, Chike. I know you put it in a more elegant language that I am than rather I am using to describe it now. But what Chike was saying was that there's a gene within the Igbo race that does not really take very well to admixture, and it lends itself to that lighter shade tonality. And in one of the write-ups that we did read, they tried to ascribe that lighter shade to the climatic conditions within the Igbo space, to say that the Igbo space is a dense forestry type area that does not really take in that much sunlight, and that sunlight has then not impacted on the Igbo skin to darken their pigmentation. So all manners of theory, but we've not really landed on anything that we can hold on to and grapple onto as really something of substance. So the conversation still carries on in the comment section. If you're able to add more flesh to this, more flesh on this, then we're happy to carry the conversation on in the comment section. Why are the Igbos of a lighter shade skin than most other people within the Nigerian geographical space? The question remains, the answers in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.